afraid of turning pages, so I'm trying to figure out how to not have to do that. Okay.
Show off your sweatshirt. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Wait, I can't see that from back
Says,
here.
not fragile like a flower, fragile like a bomb.
Yes.
My name is Donna Wright. My friends and call me. This is how it's going to go. My friends and family call me DJ. You're welcome to do the same. Thank you for letting me be here with you tonight and share my story. Starting from a blank page is pretty intimidating, but that's where I started. And as I was writing, I was like, I can't do this. There's just too many stories to choose from. And the really cool thing about having adult children is that they encourage you to be better every day. And so about a year or so ago, my youngest spawn wrote a paper for school about gender, and she sent it to us to read. And when we read it, it occurred to me that she had done way more thinking about that than I ever had. And I've thought about it ever since then. I sat down and wrote them a letter and said I wanted to also do the work that you've done and do some thinking about what this means for me. And I don't know if I'll ever share this with anyone else again, but as it turns out, we're going to share it with all of you tonight. This is an adoption of that letter that I wrote back to them as a result of their paper for school. So. Congratulations, it's a girl. They didn't just tell me I was a girl. They told me exactly what that meant. Depending on where someone is born or where they're from or who they're born to, that definition would vary wildly. Growing up, I learned that girl meant lots of things. It meant pretty, quiet, subservient, a nurturer, caregiver, an organizer, a house cleaner, a mom. From a young age, I learned that my body would be governed from the moment I was born, from what colors I would wear to the layers of elastic that must encapsulate my body when it is in public. It meant uncomfortable shoes and diet pills. It meant knowing my role and that my body wasn't my own. In fact, quite the opposite. My body would belong to my husband, and his needs would always be greater than mine. Because of this teaching, as a 5-year-old, I felt personally responsible for the sexual assault that I was constantly subjected to. When it was finally uncovered and addressed, the answer was short and brutal. Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. Not surprisingly, that phrase was the first thing that rang in my head after I was raped at the age of 17. Boys will be boys. It was hardwired into me. For me, woman meant less than, it meant less capable, less powerful. Woman meant cleaning the dishes while the men in the family discussed the events of the world. Woman meant obey, serve, look pretty, play a support role, and know my place. Woman meant I would never be whole without a partner, that I needed a man to do the things that women can't or shouldn't do. I read the script, and I played my role very carefully. It never occurred to me to just pick up a different book. The definition of womanhood was etched into me. It was etched so deeply into the core of who I was that even the slightest variation or deviation from the norm that I had been saddled with was met with self-loathing and aversion. As if by design, I became a mother, and I began passing down my unquestioned philosophy about womanhood to my daughters. Pink, everything. Pretty, pretty princess, damsel in distress. Will you open this jar for me? 10,000-year-old version of what being a woman must include, heaped right on top of their tiny heads like coals that they had no choice but to receive. Along the way, I found my voice, and I learned my truth in many other ways. I began seeing the way that I was raised as my strengths. I love being a woman. I love the softness and the attention to detail. I love caring for others and making sure people feel loved and accepted. And I see the abject failure in assigning these attributes solely to women. How much better would this world be if these characteristics were valued and fostered in all people? Yes. The first 2 decades of my life were spent fitting into someone else's definition of what it meant for me to be a woman. I spent the 3rd decade of my life questioning absolutely everything, making adjustments, and learning to live and love my truth. By the 4th decade, things were finally beginning to make more sense. And isn't it a shame that life is halfway over before you start figuring it out? I am a woman, but I'm not the woman I was raised to be. I'm a woman who is happy with the lines on my face, a face which is often bare and clean and fresh and not covered in someone else's version of what I'm supposed to look like. It's literally just my face. I am a woman who refuses to squeeze herself into restrictive clothing in order to fit into someone else's idea of what my body should look like. Yeah. I'm soft and round, and that is okay. My body has created and sustained life, and I am proud of my scars. My hair is short, and it's easy to maintain because that is how I feel the most confident. Professionally, the divine feminine in me shows up at work every day. I've claimed my attributes of success as feminine instead of saying that my success hinged on me acting strategically masculine. My loving, nurturing nature makes the people in my life feel seen and heard. My emotional intelligence means that I'm able to get results while taking care of the people that I've been entrusted with. My sensitive nature means that I consider all aspects of a project or a plan, and I know how every piece will impact someone else. That is what has driven me to the heights of success that I've achieved. I am a woman. Not the woman I was raised to be, but the woman that I alone defined. I am a woman that defines womanhood only for myself, because there is no definition for the masses. The children that I carried will create their own definition of what it means to be whoever they are, and this woman will cheer on their journey however they choose to define it. I am a woman that cheers on other women, a woman that trusts other women to make the best decisions for themselves and for their families. A woman that will stand in the fire with someone who is hurting, and we will both come out better on the other side. Even through my growth, there's still a small voice inside of me that doubts. My guess is that she's 5. And she's scared. And she doesn't trust that anyone will save her. But then I remind her that I will. I will save her. And when that voice gets louder, I lean on other women who can remind me who I am until I remember again.
We got you.
When Krista reached out and asked me to participate tonight, the first thought that came to my head got extra loud. And it sounded like, who are you? Why would anyone want to hear anything that you have to say? And from that place of doubt, I reached for a spoken word poem that I love and that changed my life. And that poem is titled, We Are Here by Denise Froman. And that always reminds me to stand tall, and if you will indulge me, that is the poem that I will leave you with tonight. I heard a woman becomes herself the first time she speaks without permission. Then every word out her mouth a riot. Say beautiful and point to the map of your body. Say brave and wear your skin like a gown or a suit. Say hero and cast yourself in the lead role. When a girl pronounces her own name, there is glory. When a woman tells her own story, she lives forever. All the women I know are perennials. Marigolds and daffodils, soft things that refuse to die. If this poem is the only thing that survives me, tell them this is how I happened. Tell them I grew a new tongue. Tell them I built me a throne. Tell them when we discovered life on another planet, it was a woman, and she built a bridge, not a border. I heard this is how you make history. This is how you create a new world. Thank you.